So France is a home of a great artist. The French reciprocal affinity toward arts and fine arts is something that is indubitably unparalleled, something that doesn't need a lengthy debate. Great persons such as Gustave Doré or Eugène Delacroix, great artists, great poets, painters. They have graced France with all the arts and architecture that have made Paris and France famous. But with the encroaching modern lifestyle that demands a fast-paced way of living, globalism and perhaps consumerism, especially in the modern city of Paris, how do the modern Frenchmen and women today can keep attuned with their, I would say, artistic side amidst the wave of today's way of life?
Well, you mentioned, for instance, Delacroix. I noticed that very recently a painting by Raden Saleh was discovered in France, in Brittany, and was auctioned to an Indonesian collectioner at the skyrocketing price of 8 million euros. And Raden Saleh was influenced by Delacroix. So this is a clear illustration of the fact that there have always been interaction between French and Indonesian cultures, and this will remain so in the future. I really think so. As far as the impact of the new way of life, of the globalization, of the digital economy is concerned, I think it's we have to reconcile the fastness of the information flux and the fact that still we want to be able to take our time to visit an exhibition or to enjoy tasty food in a restaurant. We should not be too dependent of the very fastness of the information flux. We should not be rushing with our smartphone everywhere to do as many things as possible in the day. I think we have to take benefit of the fact that we have access to a lot of information, maybe 1,000 times more than 20 years ago, but make use of this information in order to enjoy the possibilities that are offered by our society, our culture, in a peaceful way. Once again, food, for instance, is very important, in France. So, despite the smartphone and despite everything, people tend to continue spending 1.5 hours in a restaurant, talking with friends, with families. So, I think we have to preserve that. That's the best way to enjoy the benefits of globalization and digitalization, but not being engulfed by all these technologies and informations.
So, what does it mean to be French?
Well, I would say, I think your motto is very important, unity and diversity, but we have our own motto, which is not that far from the Indonesian one, by the way. It's liberté, égalité, fraternité. And these values are very important, they are eternal. And we really want to protect them. But the fact that they are eternal does not mean that they are not threatened. I would say that nowadays you have action or even terrorist attacks or political movement that would like to see less tolerance towards the various minorities. It's true in France, it's true to some extent also in Indonesia, and I think it's very important that the authorities of both countries are struggling against this threat of seeing more intolerance, more radical movements taking the upper end in the political debate. So I think that's so you have these eternal long-term values, but on the daily basis you have to be very aware that there is a daily fight that we have to lead together, and I think there is a room for cooperation between France and Indonesia in this field to see these values, especially the tolerance, being protected in both countries.
All right, so how do French people feel Indonesia in general?
Well, I think the French French people that live here are very positively impressed by the diversity of Indonesia, the diversity of ethnics, population, of religions, of languages, and the fact that since the independence, you managed to stay together despite these diversities, and that sometimes can be a challenge, can threaten the national unity. And despite all the difficulties and crises from time to time, you always manage to protect this diversity. So I think it's a very important characteristic of Indonesia, and the fact that the people are very open, that they are very welcoming to the foreigners. It's also an important quality of the Indonesian people, and that's why the French citizens who went to Indonesia as an expatriate, for instance, they tend to stay for many years. Sometimes they do not even to return to France, by the way. So it's clear that we are quite happy. Also, despite the difficulties I have just mentioned, but I'm still convinced that Indonesian people, Indonesian leadership will find a way to face the threats I have just mentioned. Again, I think the most important thing nowadays is to protect your motto, unity in diversity, to protect the peaceful interaction between various, to enforce to fight against any discrimination against any type of minority. I think this is very topical now in the political debate in Indonesia, and I'm sure that despite the difficulty, despite the fact that you will have regional and then presidential election, you will find a way to preserve the values that I've just mentioned.